Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is, whatever time it is, where you guys are tuning in from. Hello, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another live stream today. And for any return viewers, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning into the stream today, you guys. All right, so let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. To here it's about 7 p.m. here at night, so would love to know what time it is over there. Where are you guys from? Drop a chat, let us know. Always love to know where everyone is tuning in from so I can give you guys a shout out. It's always nice to know where our subscribers are, and it's always nice to really just like take this moment to like talk to our subscribers and really get to know some of you guys. I mean, yeah, a lot of you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while now. Like a lot of you guys have watched a couple of our streams before, so it's really fun to see you guys come back in and join us for yet another live today. So hi Goofs, 1301 for Europe, hello. Jennifer's from the USA, PCS is from Bangladesh. All right. Hello everyone, hope you're having an amazing day, afternoon, or night, wherever you guys are. Avatar from Ghana. All right, it's 11. All right. Who else? Anybody else who's up and watching the stream today? Would love to know. Are you a subscriber? Have you seen any of our streams before? Let us know. All right. Ashdias from Pakistan, nine. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Teddy Cove, hello. It's morning for Jennifer. Hopefully, I'm interpreting that right. Teddy Cove is also trying to make a manga. Aren't we all? um, Damzi, hello. From Nigeria. Okay, we got a couple of people from Nigeria and from Ghana, I believe. All right. So again, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are, and I hope you're ready for today's live stream because today's interview is going to be really interesting and it's going to be super inspiring. And I think you could tell from the title that we're going to be talking to someone really awesome today. But before that, okay, I have a quick question for you guys. Have you guys ever struggled to make manga for months or years? Or have you guys ever thought you weren't good enough to make manga? And have you guys ever thought, okay, I'm just, I want to make manga, but I'm not an artist and I don't even know where to start? Do any of these ring a bell for you, or do any of these um sound like you or seem familiar to you, or have you experienced any of this? Let me know in the chat. Drop a hand, raise your hand, or drop a thumbs up emoji to let me know. All right. Jennifer is still struggling. Sisan, yes, for ages. Oh, okay. Like, what do you mean ages? How long exactly? How long is ages? Is that decades? Is that months? Is that years? I'd love to know. Avatar. I've already made a manga and I'm trying to sell it. Wow, congrats, Avatar. All right. And Zami sometimes, but I still feel like that. Yeah. And Tuffy, yeah, something like that. Sega Master, does using it digitally count? Because if it is, then yes. Okay, if you're struggling to make manga digitally, that yeah, that could count. All right, so all right. Paula Bestie definitely relates. Yeah, goofed for years now since elementary. Okay, all right. Since 90s Sailor Moon stuff came out to the US. Oh, okay, so that it has been a while. if you're saying, Sasan, if you're saying that you've been struggling since the 90s, then okay, I get why you say that you've been struggling for ages. But okay, so if any of this rings a bell to you guys and it hits a little too close to home, then as you can see from the chat, you're not alone. And we'll also be talking to someone who's been in the same position as you at one point, okay? And today we'll be speaking to an aspiring manga artist from Ukraine. And just a few months ago, he was feeling lost, unsure if he was even doing it right. And 2 years ago, he had zero art experience, no formal training, no art school, not even a clue where to start making manga, just a dream and a lot of questions. Okay. But today will be but today we'll be talking to our student Yuan, who's joined 2 manga contests, built his own storyboarding process from scratch, and is finally creating manga his way with style, confidence, and clarity. So, how do you go from feeling lost and overwhelmed to confidently building manga stories from scratch? All right. So, if you're ready to hear how he made that transformation, stick around until the end because this is going to be very good. All right. So before that, though, stay until the end for the Q&A. If you have any burning questions for Yuan about his process or just about him and his art and his manga in general, then make sure to stay until the end for the Q&A so that you could get to ask your questions. And also, if you want to find out how you can work with pro Japanese manga artists yourself. All right. Now, without further ado, hello, Yuan. Can you introduce yourself to our lovely audience for today?
Hello, hello. I'm Yuan. I'm 29 years old, aspiring mangaka from Ukraine. Before I tried a little bit animation, a little bit of illustration, and at some point I decided to stick to manga, and I want to discuss manga with you here. So yeah, nice to meet you all here.
All right. So, Yuan, could you tell us a bit more about yourself? How old are you? I did mention that you're from Ukraine. So, what kind of manga did you enjoy, like before you started making manga?
I read a lot of different genres of manga. Mostly it's comedy manga and gag manga. Sometimes I read isekai manga. Sometimes I read horror manga, romance manga. Like I really enjoy different genres there.
Mm. And I believe you mentioned that you liked Kaguya-sama, Love is
Yes,
War,
it's
if I'm
my
not
top
mistaken.
one favorite manga. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I noticed because you had like quite a few like fan art of that series in particular, right? And you also mentioned that it was Kaguya-sama that really pushed you to start making manga, right? So, what was it about that series that really inspired you?
Yeah, so first of all, the funny thing is I had no idea about anything about anime on manga until 2019, where
Mm,
my friends introduced me this culture.
mm,
So yeah, I was a little bit curious about it, and Kaguya-sama was, I believe, among the first anime I ever watched. And after I completed the first season, like it was airing, the first season was airing in 2019. I completed watching it, and I was curious what is going to be next, like in the next season. So that's why I decided to start reading it, and I believe it was probably the second manga I ever read. Before I tried to read Tokyo Ghoul. I enjoyed, but to be honest, it did not sparkle this fire inside me. But
yeah.
Kaguya-sama was really fire for me here there.
All right. So safe to say, like, you definitely have a preference, right, for more slice of life, romance, comedy, moe, all of that over like the mainstream shonen stuff. Is it fair to
Yeah, I
say
think
that?
so. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's fair to say so.
All right. So,
But also, I like when there are different genres combined. Like, for example, I watched interview with Akasaka Aka, and he mentioned that initially he planned to draw horror manga, but then his
mm,
editor suggested him to draw romance slice of life. So if you can watch it in detail, you can see that there are a lot of horror elements put in there. but
Mm.
that's what I enjoy when some manga artists take really different genres and try to combine them together to create
Yeah.
something really new there.
And I imagine that's what you want to do as well, right?
Yes, and that's how I try to approach manga. Like I mentioned that I do a lot of comedy manga, but
Yeah.
I try to implement some pieces from different genres to see how it would look like in the end.
All right. So, but before we get too ahead of ourselves, like, why make manga at all, though? Like, why
Uh,
choose manga as like your medium?
Yeah, I think manga was definitely not the first medium I tried. First medium was illustration, and the one we can see on the screen is the illustration I prepared for Clip Studio submission contest related
Mm,
to color topic. So it was my like first illustration submission there. At some point, I started to feel that like it's cool to draw illustrations, but I cannot put a lot of stories behind them. So I was trying to look for some another mediums where I can move further with my stories. I also tried some animation, but animation appeared to be more time consuming than I expected. So like even like 10-15 second animations took me a really long time. So I figured out that animation is cool, but probably it's not that suitable for solo projects that I was planning to do.
yeah.
I also tried a little bit of visual novels since I know Python and RenPy is based on Python, so it was pretty easy to do that. But with visual novels, I found another issue for myself is that like when I tried to create story, I like created more than like one story straightforward instead of
Right.
creating like multiple parallel stories. So I decided to abandon visual novels too. Like it's cool, just I decided it's not something that I want to do. And
Mm,
like I tried different mediums here and there, and at some point I decided to try manga. So I even remember the moment when it happened. So there was a book I read related to storyboard. There is a book written by Francis Glebas directing the story, and there was a suggestion just to like launch a movie. In my case, that was anime, and try to draw some storyboards based on it. And I was trying to draw
mm.
storyboards, and I looking at my storyboards and like, okay, it's pretty look like a manga. Like I need to
Uh,
just some additional filters, some like final touches here and there, and it's practically manga. So I
mm.
decided, yeah, I need to try manga.
So
And yeah,
you,
and I believe after that moment,
yeah.
I just stick with manga. I have no issues with it.
All right. So it seems that you really particularly enjoyed like the drawing it out into storyboards process, right? So
Yes.
I think through that process you discovered, oh, this looks like a manga. Why don't I try manga? And since you've just gone from there, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. So that's cool. I mean, it's kind of crazy how things just hit you out of nowhere when you least expect it, right? I'm sure you weren't expecting to really enjoy that process so much and really just stick to it. But even though you've had like experience like drawing, and visual novels and animations and stuff like that, once you get hit by that sudden strike of inspiration out of nowhere, like you go with it, right? So you stick to it. So yeah, before joining the program, then what were you struggling with the most when it came to making manga?
Yeah, I think like before joining this program, I tried to figure out how to draw manga myself. What
Mm,
I started from, I purchased several books. I can even show you them. So I
yeah.
purchased a book. These books are from UK. One book called Manga. So
Mm,
this book is related to manga history, how different genres appeared and evolved. Just to give myself some history context, because I like have no idea
yeah.
about anything about manga before that.
Yeah.
The next one was manga in theory and practice. I'm not sure you can see it.
Yeah.
This one
Hirohiko
is a book written
Araki,
by Hirohiko
right?
Araki. Yes,
Yeah.
so for those who don't know, that's JoJo's mangaka. So this manga focuses on some technical parts, but I would say it's pretty based on script writing and character creation there, which is really cool, but it does. I don't think it's covered the full process, and that was the issue for me. And the third book I purchased was, guess it.
Yeah.
That was Kaguya-sama. So I purchased this book to use it as a reference because before the most manga I read was digital. So I wanted to have references. I wanted to see how big those pages are, like actual manga pages, how big those panels, how should line six, how thick lines should be, and etc. etc. So
Yeah.
whenever I'm in doubt, or let's say whenever I thought like how many panels should I add there, how many dialogues I should put
Mm,
there in my manga, I like use it as a reference. I check out how
right.
much is there. Yeah.
Right. So
Uh,
you've been self-learning through books and tutorials then at this point.
Yes, and I also followed several YouTube channels, but the issue I had there is that usually content creators make one video related to one topic, so like I was unsure like how many topics we uncovered or how those topics are related to each other. And
Mm,
I think my knowledge back then was segmented. Like I get like this idea that I need to do something this way, and this idea I don't need to do something that way. But they were not very connected, and I was really
yeah.
confused back then how to do that.
Yeah. And considering like this is a medium that you're not culturally familiar with, because it's a manga. Manga came from Japan, and you at first you knew nothing about manga, right? So you really had to learn from scratch. So of course, like there that comes with the confusion of, okay, where do I even start? What do I even learn? How do I learn it? And in what sequence or process should I learn it, right? So I think a lot of people in our audience can definitely relate to that, because we've spoken to a lot of beginners who've spoken to us, who've applied to the program, and they've all said the same thing. They didn't know where to start. They didn't know how to go about making manga themselves, because they've just been doing it themselves like you have this entire time, right? Just self-learning. But while self-learning does help with like building your passion and building like practice and all of that, it comes to a point where, okay, I need guidance, right? I need professional guidance, and I need someone who actually knows what they're doing and actually knows what they're talking about to tell me what to do so that I can actually improve and make progress, right? Like
Yes.
tangible significant progress, right? So
Could you
that
please go
said,
to the previous slide? It's pretty funny thing to add here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so for this one, so these two Yonkoma mangas I prepared for the submission,
yeah.
or there was a submission on Instagram. And the funny thing that the first one and the second one were proofread by my manager at my work because he was a person who read manga.
Oh wow. I remember this is the submission you sent for our very first Yonkoma challenge on the channel,
Yeah, that
actually.
was
Yeah.
Learn to Draw Manga
That was last
had a
year. That
submission.
was a while ago.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't know that you had your manager proofread this for you. I mean, he proofread it before you submitted it. Is that what you,
uh,
or what? You had him read it before you
yeah,
submitted
like
this?
I discussed this idea with him, like he helped me with a little bit with script, and I sent him
Mm.
final version later. But the fun things that they were all related to like managers, so I thought it's
Exactly.
fun to discuss
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like this is about a character like dealing with their work stuff, right? Like shenanigans at work. So
Yes, yes.
that's really fun that you had your manager go over it. But okay, and how did he feel? Did he see like your final yonkoma? Did you show him?
He's seen this too. Yeah, at some point I was thinking about turning it out into a series, but at
Yeah.
some point I felt like I have a lack of experience how to
Mm,
improve it further. I wasn't sure how can I make characters development, so that's like kind of on my to-do list. Maybe at some
all
point
right.
I'll redo this first Yon Comas and
All
continue
right.
to the series.
All right, but that said, like the reason why you submitted these yonkomas to us to review in the first place was because you wanted feedback, right? So
Yes.
after shortly after that, you joined us. You joined our program back in December, and yeah. what made you decide to join the one shot manga drawing program?
Yeah, so first of all, I decided to make myself a present for my birthday. I told that to Trisha. Yeah, I consider it. So at this point, I thought that I want to focus on manga. Like I made my decision, I made some trials, and I decided, okay, so let it be manga. But I checked some other courses related to drawing manga, and I think this were good courses to go, but they were limited to separate topics. Like, for example, I found course like how to write script for Yonkoma or how to draw
Oh,
anime characters. But I was looking for something that can guide me through the whole process, like from writing scripts, storyboarding until the
in-game
final pages.
finalizing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All
And
right.
like to be honest, I don't have enough money or time to go directly to Japan to learn it there. So I was looking for something online.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
and
is the next
yeah,
best
as
thing.
this
Yeah,
course was the best option I could find.
yeah. Yeah, because like this is the next best thing, like you said, like it's the next best thing because you're connected to actual Japanese mangakas who are in Japan and teaching in Japan and working in Japan, right? And they've also had like years of experience like publishing their own mangas in Japan, right? So yeah,
And in
it's
addition to that, like my
yeah,
work is, I'm working from home.
yeah.
So learning from home too would be a good addition there too.
Yeah, yeah, learning from the comfort of your home is a big plus, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, now that you've joined the program, now I've noticed that you said you focus on gag manga with moe elements, right? So how has that program helped you bring that style to life?
Yeah, so first of all, like there are a lot of materials and lessons we have in this LTDM. But what I like is that it's not related to one particular genre or one particular style. So,
Yeah,
for example, as a students, we do our storyboard homeworks, and everyone can work in their own style. Like, for example, I do comedic storyboards. Like, there is a guy who do horror manga storyboards. But because like there are the same principles that apply to any genre, like it's like everyone sent their own, manga in their own genres and get reviewed for them. That's from the script part, and from drawing part there are a lot of exercises where we just draw something from real photos to our
yeah.
stylized images. And this, like for example, allows me to draw in more style. Other people prefer to draw something in more realistic style, and like I believe it works for all of us because of this flexibility.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, there's tons of people, tons of students in the program who have their own styles. You have your own style. Everyone else in the program has their own style, but you're all able to learn the same process because, like you said, the same principles like apply to whatever genre of manga that you prefer or want to work on, right? So, is it safe to say that at this point like you want to focus on like comedy manga, or are you willing to expand like your horizons through the program? Like what sort of mangas did you want to like make as well?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I more focused on gag comedy manga, but sometimes I add different
Yeah,
genres to it as well.
yeah,
Like for example, the one we can see on screen right now, first three panels are more related to horror manga, something close
yeah,
to what Akasaka can do in his Kaguya-sama,
yeah.
while
I
the
mean,
left one
yeah.
is more closer to Sojo manga, I think.
Mm,
That at least that was an attempt to do
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Akasaka, right? He's the mangaka behind Oshinoko, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I
That was
think
his
if you
next.
guys are familiar with Oshinoko, it's a blend of comedy, but there's also drama, suspense, thriller. So like that, like Akasaka does, you can blend like genres like that together. And through the program, you could also do the same thing. You can learn to do the same thing through the program as well. All right. So since joining Yuan, like what's it been like learning directly from pro mangakas? And what's been the most helpful thing you've learned so far?
Yeah, I think let's split this question. My favorite part about working with pro mangakas is that sometimes they found things that like I would never see in my life. Even like I check my manga multiple times and they see details that I would never see. Like for example, there was a submission I've made. There were some curtains there. I would draw next to windowsill.
Yeah.
And I believe that was Mentor Jackson who noticed that. She noticed that at one panel I have curtains heavy and hard.
Was it this one?
And no, it's not this one.
Okay.
It's not one. Yeah.
Go on, go
Yeah,
on.
that my attempt to fix that issue. Yeah, so there were hard curtains, and on the next panel, the curtains were light, like light fabric there, and the floor was
Mm.
completely different. And
Mm-mm.
and I made this mistake because I picked different references for my panels, and they had different
Oh.
fabric. And I
Oh.
have no idea how, but yeah, there are details that mentors they noticed like instantly, like, hey, why do you draw it this way? Why it was left side here and right side here? Something like that. So, and that's why I like to join sessions with other students, even when my works are not critiqued, because I want to like learn this skill. I think that's a really cool skill to have when you can look at work and find all these like discrepancies, all the issues
Mm.
there yourself. Because like after completing learning in the school, you still will need to do that yourself. So
Yeah.
that's a great skill. And related to suggestions, yeah, there were several suggestions I like general suggestions. So from Mentor Jackson, there was a suggestion to always think what is the most beneficial thing you can do for your readers. Because
Right.
sometimes, as mangakas, we tend to focus like, oh, okay, I want to draw like this panel, I want to draw this thing there.
Yeah.
But sometimes we forget that there will be readers who will read those manga, and we always need to double check, like if they understand what I draw there, do they care what is there about, something like that. For example, there was a discussion where one of students asked, should we add Japanese sound effects to our
Yeah.
manga? And
Yeah.
Mentor Jackson mentions that, okay, like which audience will read your manga? Because if Japanese audience won't read your manga and you publish it for only English-speaking peoples who don't know Japanese, then no, don't add it. If you
Uh,
plan to make your manga for Japanese people who know those sounds,
yeah.
yeah, you can add it. And like they, like she tries to teach us to check it at every step, like is it beneficial for readers?
Mm.
For now Yazawa, that was a similar suggestion to check what is beneficial for readers. But another example from her was to like not deep dive into Japanese culture's joke if you make your manga
Yeah.
for English speaking people, because
Yeah.
they are out of context. They just won't get those jokes and you just spend panels for nothing there.
Yeah.
And I like suggestion from Rena Sensei. She mentions that it's really important not to go with your instinct, but to create several versions of one page, of one panel. So, like for example, you have an idea for a scene and you create 10 versions for this scene and you compare them one versus other and you can choose the best one. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if you go with your instinct, you just you create one panel, you are fine with that, and you just go further without thinking more about it. And at
Mm.
this case, if you go with the instinct, you don't know if you made it good or bad because you don't have reference to compare it with. While when
Mm.
you have 10 versions, you like you might be able to improve it, but you also know that out of 10 versions you are able to create, this one is the best one. And like it
Yeah.
gives really more confidence in what you are doing because
Yeah.
you know what were trade-offs and you know that you choose the best option you had. So
Yeah.
I think these were the most valuable suggestions I heard
Yeah.
from mentors. Yeah.
Yeah. And so far, like, it's great that you've taken so much in the short time you've been in the program, right? You haven't been in the program for a year yet. I think you've only been in the program for like almost half a year at this point, like only like 5 to 6 months, and you've already taken so much from the program. And it's really nice to hear that you've gotten to work with a lot of our mentors already so far: Rena Sensei, Jackson, Izawa Sensei. So that said, like,
And also I can add something here.
yeah,
Also, what is good is that those pro mangakas work with pro editors, which
yeah,
means they also can see manga from editor's perspective.
yeah,
So I think based on their suggestions, it's better to understand what editors will look like, and it will be really important for people who plan to
yeah,
work with editors in the future, because like at this case, you can kind of understand what you should focus on first. And the second thing, like if people want plan to work with editors, they will be like, if they plan to self-publish, they will be their own editors. They will need to edit their stuff. So that's why I think it's really
mm,
important to see like from three perspectives: from reader's perspective, from mangaka
mm,
perspective, and from editor's perspective,
yeah,
because each one
yeah.
has its own nuances.
Yeah, our mentors have secondhand knowledge, right? Like you said, they have
Yes.
secondhand knowledge of how editors think, what editors are looking for when in people's mangas, right? So that said, like, how does it feel like just the feeling? How does it feel like getting critique from them? Because I they can be harsh. At least I know that Yazawa Sensei can be pretty harsh, but ultimately you do take some value out of their critique, right? Because they're there to help you. But so far, like, how has it been like actually getting to interact with them and learning from them directly?
It's not so bad. I don't think now Yazawa is too harsh. And
Mm.
by the way, the one is on screen right now was critiqued by Yazawa
Yazawa
Sensei.
Sensei. Yeah, yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I think it's great to have those comments, because like whenever you hear from your sensei like, okay, it's fine, you can move further, you don't know what you need to improve, you don't understand your weak points. So I think the better critique I receive on each session, the better I understand like my current level direction I need to improve.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of the people, a lot of beginners in particular, struggle with getting feedback. That's a common thing that we've observed from beginners, that when their work is critiqued, they struggle with accepting that sort of critique and actually having an open mind and accepting different perspectives, especially from professionals, especially if it's from directly from professionals, right? So if you
Yeah,
want to
I
learn,
would like to
yeah,
add some notes here too.
yeah,
So, first of all, yeah, I think like people should like learn how to receive this critique, but they also need to learn how to process it. Like,
yeah,
for example, when your readers give you some feedback, you should understand that they are not professionals. So when they suggest you to change something, you need to take it with some salt there, because they can give you suggestion, but you should be really careful about what is suggested there. But when you receive feedback from professionals that they know what they're talking about. So in
yeah,
this case, you should not only listen to the problems you have, but their suggestions how to solve those issues.
yeah,
And also, yeah, I remember I remembered this Yon Koma to be critiqued, and I remember like we discussed this with now Yazawa Sensei, and she was like, "Oh, it makes no sense," and she explains me why. And I like, "Oh yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore," but you know, it did make sense like 10 minutes ago.
yeah. But yeah, that's really just the process of working with someone who is trying to help you, and they're coming from a place of, okay, I know what I'm doing, I've had experience, now here's how you can do it and how you can make it better, right? So that's really the whole process of working with pro mangakas, right? It's always a back and forth of, okay, you're gonna get critiqued, but this critique is gonna help you at the end of the day. All right, now, so since joining since joining the program, you've joined the Silent Manga Edition, the 2-page Greece manga contest as well. And congratulations, by the way, on joining your first manga contest. So, what was it like making manga for a contest?
Yeah, I think it's completely new experience.
Yeah.
And I really suggest every other aspiring mangakas to participate in contest, at least like 3 or 5. I think it's very important for the following reasons. First of all, manga contests have their requirements, and those requirements are based on manga industry standards usually, like
Yeah.
number of pages, how you should make your layouts, etc., etc. So you will deep dive better in technical part if you participate in those contests. And the second thing, it will teach you how to deal with your deadlines. Because
Yeah.
when you have a deadline for your submission, you should learn how to plan it. Like, for example, when I was preparing for this SMA submission, I booked days in my calendar when I planned to work on them. And then I realized I did not have rest days at all. I worked like every day for maybe 10 days, and I was burned out. I was really tired and I had to review this plan. But after that, I realized, okay, that's a mistake I've made and I won't make it in the future. So next time I will plan my time better for these
Yeah.
deadlines. And for those who want to be professional mangakas, it will be really important to deal with your deadlines because that's how you will publish your manga. Like if it's weekly manga, you just have a deadline, like the last day when you should submit it chapter by chapter. Uh, and like also related to deadlines, those submissions learned that sometimes you need to sacrifice some panels or some quality in favor to other pages or panels, because sometimes you can see that you literally have not enough time to complete
Yeah.
like those 2 spreads at the same quality, and you just need to
Yeah.
understand what is more important for your readers. Yeah, going back to what Mentor Jackson and now Yazawa Sensei said, like what is more important for your readers.
Mm-mm.
And sometimes you should be ready to sacrifice some of your ideas, even if those are good ideas, but they are not so beneficial for your readers. And I think that those contest is the best way to test yourself before making full publish.
Yeah. It's a way to practice, build your skills, build your discipline, right? And also like test your process, right? Like now that I have a deadline, I'm joining a contest. I have a concrete deadline to work on. Okay, how should I plan out my time so that I could give my 100% to my submission, right? Because like you said, I think you had 1 month to work on this, but even that wasn't enough. Did you feel like you were still cramming at some points?
Uh, I think I completed it just on time.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
But did you have any struggles? Were you like confused? Okay, how do I go about this? Or did you already have like a concrete
I was
plan for the
confused
whole
all the way.
submission? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you had like the story, right? You had the story. Now, what were you confused about? Like how to plot it out, how to draw it out? What?
I don't even had confidence in my story back then, and I think I made 4 different versions of the same script until I could be able to start it.
Mm, right. So there was that
So I
whole
I,
process.
I
Yeah.
was literally confused, but I wanted
Yeah.
just to check it out. Like I was like, okay, I decided that I can figure it out during the process. And
Mm.
so, for example, there were cases when I watched YouTube video and they suggested to do something, and while I like made a panel, I was like, oh, okay, that's why they mentioned that I need to do it this way. Otherwise, when you just watching videos without practice, sometimes you just cannot get some good ideas because you cannot connect it with the actual process.
Right. So would you, if you were to join, do it all over again, right? Like preparing the submission for SMA all over again, would you do anything differently?
I would just make a new submission. uh, Not because I don't like this one, but for me, like one manga is like kind of like a mystery I need to solve. Like for example, I
Mm,
have an idea for the script and I like design it step by step. I try to figure out like what's the script about, what details, what characters will be there,
Mm-mm.
how can I show all these ideas there. But when I completed the manga, it's just like as a solved mystery for me. I like it, but I don't want to change anything because I believe it was solved at that moment.
Mm. But how about aside from the manga, how about your process going into it? Would you change anything about how you went about making your submission or no?
During the progress, I had a mess with my layers, with my assets, clips to the paint. It's digital
Mm,
manga. So after that, I tried to really keep it clean and simple for myself for the future mangas.
organized.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the
So
word.
organize like your setup and all of that just
And
to make the
also,
process a little
I had
easier.
this bad habit. I believe I catch it
Mm,
during my illustration process. There were
yeah.
tons of assets in my clip studio that I used maybe once, or maybe I did not use them. I just downloaded them and they were there. So that was a good idea to make a cleanup. And since then, I decided to choose like instruments that I really need, that I use often, to put it handy, and just to remove everything else because I just don't need it, and it's just interrupting me during
Mm,
the process.
mm. So that said, like what's one part of the manga creation process that you now feel more confident about compared to when you first started like drawing manga and making manga?
That's for sure storyboarding part. So
Mm,
we have those sessions with coaches when they give us a prompt, and we have sometimes hour and a half to prepare storyboard. And I believe that was really valuable practice for me because before I joined, like I just opened my clip studio, I watched a blank page, and I have literally no idea where should I start, what should I put there. But after this practice, I received some confidence in what I'm doing, and also based on Rena Sensei's advice to check different options. During the sessions, I create several layers, and I just create several storyboards to pick which one I like the most to
mm,
keep working on that one.
mm,
And also following that advice, I sometimes what I do, I create a different, like for the one idea I create a folder and I put different objects on the separate layers. So for example, sometimes what I can do is I can uh, add characters at one side and table on another side, but then I think that it doesn't work the way I want. So I can move their positions and I can play with them until I found the right balance I want. So the
mm,
more like, yeah, experimenting more with ideas instead of just going with an instinct, I think that's
mm.
the most valuable part I received during those sessions.
Mm-mm. Okay, okay, that's nice. That's a nice idea. Like experimenting, making sure that, okay, I want to have options, basically, is your mindset. Okay. Instead of just going with your instinct when you're making your storyboards, when you're making your manga, I want to know, okay, what are the best possible versions or ways I could present this scene or present this spread, right? So that's why you make like multiple versions, right? And I think for you, you're comfortable in that process, right? Like for some people would think, I don't have the time to make multiple versions of the same spread. I don't got time for that. But it's different for everyone, right? It's different from mangaka to mangaka. Like for you, you're comfortable with that, and that's really nice. So for anyone who's like indecisive or feels like, okay, I want to see how I can bring this further. I want to experiment with different versions just to see if I could make this any better than I can, right? So that said, Yuan, like what's it been like learning how to make manga with a community of fellow aspiring mangakas who are different from you as well. Like they have different genres, they have different styles, they have different processes, but at the end of the day, you all have the same goal of wanting to make manga. So what's it been like learning in that community?
Yes. So first of all, it's cool that those people are really knowledgeable about manga, and sometimes we discussed our ideas. And for example, I can say, "Oh, I have this idea for my future manga," and there are people like, "Oh, that reminded me that manga never heard about, other people never heard about," And they say like, yeah, you can just check it out how it was done there, just as an inspiration. And the second thing that is valuable to having to do this in community is that you can not only share your ideas, but sometimes they can give you more technical advices because they are also learning manga with you. They also like already know technical part of this manga, not as readers based on their impression. Uh, yeah. Uh, and plus, yeah, it reminded me once I was watching a documentary movie about mangaka, and one mangaka mentioned that they tend to send printed manga to each other, like mangakas send printed manga to each other in Japan, because they know that only true mangakas can fully appreciate their work and the
Aw.
ideas behind those works. And I think
Aw.
that sounded pretty cute. Yeah, but
Aw.
that's but that's true. Like whenever other people look at manga, they like, okay, they maybe like it or maybe they don't like it. But when people who in industry who draw manga, they know how hard it is, and sometimes like they can truly appreciate how much effort went to this manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
By
now,
the way,
like,
by the way, on this
yeah.
on the right, Yon comma, that was one where I draw different fabric for curtains. On the
Oh, this was the one
second
you were
and on the
talking
first
about.
panel. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
That
okay,
was the one.
okay. Got it, got it. So, did you go back and change it, or were you like, okay, noted for future?
I noted
Uh,
for future. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was a storyboard we quickly checked earlier. That was the one where I tried to fix this issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that said, remember you mentioned about how like a big plus about being in the program is being able to just like do it in the comfort of your own home, right? But you did I think you have a full-time job, right? You work in IT. So how do you manage to actually practice drawing manga while having a full-time job?
Yes. So first of all, and I like this quote that our intentions should be reflected on our calendar. That's why I have spots on my calendar dedicated sometimes to practice, to storyboards, or just to regular drawing. Because otherwise, I know that I can be interrupted by something else. But when I have it on my calendar, I know, okay, that's the time I need to practice and I can focus on it. And like everyone else knows that I'm unavailable at this time. And the second thing I came up with is idea that it's way more easier to put drawing in your calendar when you have four sessions, like 1 hour length
Yeah.
long each. It's
Yeah.
much easier to spread them all over your calendar compared to one session like 4 or 5 hours long. So I started to split those practices into smaller ones to add them to my calendar easier. What else I like to do? I prefer to move my practices in the morning where I have more energy because learning new stuff, learning new skills, it requires a lot of energy. And I know that I have the most of energy in the morning. So that's when I do my practice. I do it before my work. Storyboards, like because storyboards became easier for me after practice during those 5 months. I think like it's fine for me to move it to the evening because even if I'm tired, like I still can be creative and I can make quick
Yeah.
sketches to with my ideas.
Yeah, and it's important to be able, if you're passionate about something, right? If you're passionate about making manga and you actually really love making manga, then you're going to make time for it. You're going to find the time for it. So, it's good that even with a full-time job in a pretty like competitive industry, I believe,
Yeah, and
yeah.
also, but this approach would require really important skill, and I figured
Yeah.
out about it later. So there is a thing called brain plasticity. So sometimes brain can go in inertia mode, and like whenever you do something, you just keep doing that. Like for example,
Yeah.
I can be at work. I completed my work. I start drawing, but at the bottom of my head, I still thinking about my job, about what I need to do
Yeah.
tomorrow, everything else.
Yeah.
And here, if you have several hobbies or several professions, what it's important to do is to learn yourself with this plasticity. Like, okay, my drawing time started, nothing else really matter. Like,
Yeah.
I need my brain to fully focus on
Yeah.
my drawing progress.
Yeah. It's important to compartmentalize. Like
Yeah,
when you have,
and vice
yeah.
versa, because there were cases when I was sitting on like job meeting and I was thinking like, okay, yeah, I
How
think
do
I
I work
need to
on?
add manpo there and some gradients there, and I think it
Yeah.
will be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
But
I think
yeah.
I think that's important skills that people tend to lose when they grow up, because that's a skill that everyone have, because everyone has a skill because they went to school, and like, let's say there is a math lesson and next lesson is a history lesson, and math is not important anymore, and children can
Yeah.
switch to and fro like several times per 8 hour lessons streak. But when people grow up, they tend to lose the skill. And I think it's really important if you want to combine your art with anything else, because you won't feel that creative if your brain is not dedicated to your drawing process fully.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you stay motivated during that
Yeah,
process?
yeah, motivation is a cool topic. I think the thing is that usually we don't understand motivation correct. I think that's usually not how we think about it correct. I think I think motivation is a fancy word to say like force myself to do something I don't want to do, because I don't need to have any motivation to do what I like. Like, for example, I like to read manga. I don't need additional motivation to force
Yeah.
myself to sit there, take that manga, and read it. And like,
Yeah.
for example, if it's 3 a.m. and I keep reading manga, like I need some motivation to stop doing that because I have my work tomorrow, you know? And I think the problem here is that sometimes people start doing not what they enjoyed, and
Yeah.
in this case they start to feel burning out. Like, for example, I like to draw characters, and that's what I usually draw. But after those like YouTube videos, etc., etc., like books about drawing, I focused on practice. Like, I draw these cubes, I draw anatomy, perspective, and at some point I felt that I'm not enjoying the process. And to be honest, like that's how it should work, because I'm not drawing characters I used to draw. And that's where I lost my motivation. So to gain it back, I had to go back to drawing characters, because characters is what I like to draw, and I don't need any motivation to do that. But to
Mm.
balance this, to think like what's important. So first thing first, to spend some time to draw what you like, but at the same time, like, spend some time to practice, because whenever you do some drawing exercises, those practice, like, it's not what we like to do in the first place, but it's what make first process like more enjoyable, more efficient. You can
Yeah.
draw faster, you can draw better, and
Yeah.
like, with knowing those balance, you just draw what you like, you practice, you draw what you like, you practice, and
Yeah.
going on, and you don't need to find any motivation to follow this
Yeah.
process.
I mean, well said, honestly. So just make sure that you do whatever you can to keep your passion alive, right? And that involves doing the things that you like, doing the things that you love, and being able to balance that with, okay, I love drawing characters, but if I really want to make manga, I got to learn how to draw. I got to learn how to panel. I got to learn how to shade or how to use screen tones or how to apply manpu and all of that. There will be parts of the manga making process that you won't 100% enjoy because they're more difficult, or say, or maybe more boring for you. But every part of the manga making process is essential if you want to make manga, right? So as you're learning, and as you're learning all of these parts of the process, it's still important to be able to, okay, take a break and maybe do something you love at the same time. Like Yuan said, okay, practice, do something you like, practice, do something you like. right?
And
And what's great
sometimes
with
it's
Yuan, yeah.
yeah, and sometimes it's also a good idea when you draw something without intention to show anybody else, like not
Yeah.
to post it to social media, not to show your friends. You just draw silly sketches for yourself just because it's fun and having
Yeah.
fun out of it.
Yeah. Always have fun, basically.
Yes,
Always
yes.
try to have fun. All right. So your goal is to complete a one shot this year, right? So how's that process been going? How's that progress been going so far?
Yeah. So far, I prepared a script for my one shot. I'm working on character designs and I'm working on panel layouts. So it's in progress. I plan
Mm.
to submit it for critique for Sensei soon.
Mm. Okay. Any idea of what your one shot is gonna be yet?
Idea. Okay. So, brief idea is that it's supposed to be isekai comedy manga, but
Mm.
instead of video games, it will be about books. So people like
Mm.
open books and they travel inside those
Get
stories.
sucked into the books.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I came up with this idea because I think it close to my goals. At the beginning of this session, I mentioned that I want to experiment with genres.
Yeah.
And through these books, I plan to make those experiments. Like, let's say my main characters open horror book, and it's like character in horror style. And next one, they open adventure book, and they are somewhere in the castle, fantasy
Mm.
castle, or something like that. And that's how I plan to treat it. Yeah.
That's really fun. Looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. So I'm gonna watch out for it once you once you finish it and once you post it in the program. All right. So what's something that you're most proud of in your journey so far?
Maybe that it's keep going because I think I went really far with this journey, and I
Yeah.
plan to go even further.
Mm. So the fact that you're still here, that
Yes,
you're
yes.
still learning, you still got that passion, you still got that motivation to
Because
keep
as I
going.
mentioned earlier, I
Yeah.
made a lot of pivoting from illustration to visual
Yeah.
novels to animation to manga, but manga looks seems to be
Has
more
stuck. Yeah.
suitable, and yeah, and I think I stuck with it. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the greatest part for me.
So far, since you this is something that you've stuck with, right? What do you love so much about it?
Manga in general.
Yeah, just making manga yourself, finally.
Uh, I think not only in making manga, but also in reading manga, I like to see those characters' inner sides, like characters' emotion, characters' thoughts.
Mm.
That what I like when I read manga, and that's what I like when I draw manga. Just to have like when I have a script and I write about what my characters is feeling about, but
Mm.
thinking about how can I show it, how can I make my readers to understand my characters' feelings, my characters' thoughts. I think that's the most interesting part of manga for me. Because,
Mm.
like, for example, when I drop manga, I cannot go to my readers to tell them what it's about, to
Yeah.
explain everything. I just drop it there and hoping they will understand it. And I think that's my favorite part of process thinking, like, how my readers can
They're gonna,
understand, can feel
yeah.
about this manga.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
why, yeah,
yeah.
probably that's why I stuck with like not stuck, maybe I focus on comedy manga, because I think it's easier for me to visualize like how my readers would like laugh or smile at particular
Oh.
moments. And to be honest, it's harder for me to imagine how to make readers sad or scared, but
Oh. Oh, okay, okay, got it. So for you, it's like it's much easier for you to visualize or anticipate, okay, when people read this manga, they're gonna laugh, or maybe they're gonna chuckle or hold in
could you,
like
could you, could you please
emotion.
go to the previous slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can add it here.
Okay. This was it. This one,
I can
or
see
was it this
storyboards.
one?
Yeah, this one, yeah.
All right. All right.
Middle one, 12 behaving cats. So the third panel. I started with a third panel on the 12 behaving cats. I draw
Yeah.
those cats in cylinders, and I audibly laughed myself whenever I completed it because I found it hilarious. And I thought, oh yeah, and that particular panel what motivated me to complete all the other panels there because I wanted to show it to other people. I wanted to see how like they
Yeah.
will react to this one
Yeah.
as
And
an example.
it's really nice that you laugh at your own work. Right? Because ideally, if a mangaka finds their work funny, the goal is to make sure that everyone else finds it funny as well because you're showing it to other people,
Yeah,
right?
once I saw it from, I believe, mangaka. I cannot remember who it was, but the idea was that you should be your own fan of your work.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like your work yourself, like you should not expect that anyone else would like it. Like, of course, there are
Yeah.
different audiences. Everyone has their own tastes, their own understanding how it look like. But mangaka should be like their first fun. They really need to
Yeah.
appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah. And it's really nice that you're a fan of your own work and then you like your work, right? So now I guess my question would be, concerning your progress in your journey so far, right? You've come so far in just a few short months from having zero experience to now getting to work with pro mangakas with professional experience, to making your own manga, to joining contests. Now that you've come so far, like what advice would you give to someone who wants to make manga but doesn't feel confident about starting or doesn't know what, how or where to start even?
Uh, yeah, so the best advice is that you should understand that you would never be fully prepared to that, and it will be a completely new experience for you. So the best way to do it is just to start it and think how it will go. Like
Yeah.
for example, if you plan to learn how to swim, like you can have a bunch of exercises there, like on the beach, like to become more like stronger, etc. But when you go there into the water, it will be completely new experience for you. So like uh, it's better just to go there to the water and figure it out there. And that's why I think it's really important to try to do some contests because that's how you can just practice that.
Mhm.
Practice your flows, practice your approaches, your manga creation, and your understanding. Like you will never be fully prepared to creating your first manga, and
Yeah.
that's completely fine. But the best approach here is go through iterations. You make, like, let's say you made your first yankoma, you look at it and you try to analyze it yourself. You go like, okay, I don't like this, and this, and you try to create next one better, and the third one like try to create it better than the second one, and so on and so on and so on. And that's how those process grows. Like there is no one single exercise you can do to be prepared to everything. You just need to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, you're never, like you said, I really like how you said that you're never going to be prepared. You're never going to be ready to actually start making manga, but you still have to start anyway. If you
Yeah.
really want to make manga, if you really want to do it, regardless of how you feel, if you feel unready, if you feel unsure, you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be sure. So might as well start now, right?
I think now Yazawa Sensei once said, like, you cannot do it good accidentally.
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
lot of work, effort, and time to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, learning how to make manga is all about just like figuring out yourself because like everyone has their own process, right? Everyone has their own style, has their own like way of doing things. So as much as the program teaches you like the principles of and the steps of how to make manga professionally from professional like mangakas themselves, like you still have to figure out what works best for you, right? Still have to figure out what works best for you, the kind of manga you want to make, and also taking into account like all of the advice that you're taking from all of these professionals in the industry, right? So
And for
yeah,
example, even professional mangakas, like I watched a bunch of interviews, they also
yeah,
mentioned that sometimes they don't feel like prepared to
yeah,
series they've done. And for example, there were cases when like mangaka who draw fantasy style, like they know how to draw the swords, clocks, etc. They try to
mm.
do mecha and they like felt completely newbie about them because completely new style, completely new
Yeah,
skills that they need, and they need to figure it out from scratch.
yeah.
But that's the fun part, I think. Like, don't always find something new to yourself, what you can include in your works.
All right. So I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing, like finding the fun in experimenting and learning new things, right? I mean, if you really want to be a mangaka, you're going to have to learn new skills, that's for sure. Because a lot of the people coming into this aspiration of wanting to make manga, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. A lot of them, like Yuan, had no background, no experience when they first started out, and all pro mangakas started out not knowing how to make manga. You know, I mean, Junji Ito, like he was a dental technician before he started making manga, but when he dropped like being a dentist, like his knowledge about anatomy and medicine and dentistry helped like inform his art style and all of that. So anyone coming into making manga, they all have their own stories, they all have their own background, but at the end of the day, they all made the choice to take action and actually start making manga and start learning how to make manga like Yuan did, and like how a lot of the students in our program did as well. With that said, you
Oh,
guys,
by the way, sorry,
yeah,
just quickly, yeah. But don't start with the two big submissions. That's also important to just if you don't know where to start with Yonkoma. It would be much better because yeah, I think I should add it here. It's very important.
yeah,
If you make a one shot like you made, for example, 16 pages, you check them out, you check how they were going, and you like go with another one shot like 16 pages long. It's a huge process which requires a lot of time and energy,
yeah,
and your iterations will be much slower. With Yonkoma manga, you can draw those four panels, you can check them out, you can draw another one and another one, Yonkomas one by one, and check your improvements there.
yeah.
So yeah, it's important to start doing it, but don't go like too deep in the water as a first step. Just figure it out like
Yeah.
with an easier scale.
Yeah. So start small,
Start
right?
small, yeah.
Start small.
Start
Yonko.
small and grow bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And go go bigger and bigger from there, basically. So start small, start with a yonkoma. I mean, we always suggest that beginners start with a yonkoma, right? Because it's short, it's 4 panels, and it allows you to exercise like the basic Kisho Tenketsu storytelling structure, right? Like, by the way, if you guys don't know, Kisho Tenketsu is a basic Japanese storytelling structure. You can check out our video on that if you want to learn more about it. But yeah, making yonkomas really helps you, starts you off easy, but builds like the basic foundations of what you need to know if you want to make manga. So that's paneling, that's composition, that's storytelling, right? So yeah, and as soon as you get started on that, you get better and better with every yonkoma you make. You move on to a 1 page or a 2 page, and then you move on to a 4 page, and then you move on to like a longer one shot, right? So it's always important to set manageable goals. Start small and then you work your way up from there. All right. Now, with that said, you guys, Yuan is one of the students at a one shot manga drawing program. So if you're just tuned in or if you've missed out on this very small detail during the live, Yuan is actually one of the students in our one shot manga drawing program. And yes, we do have a program. It's a program dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know, how to make and finish your first one shot manga. So, why a one shot? Okay. Um, a lot of the pro mangakas in the manga industry got their start with making one shots. I mean, if you think about any of your favorite mangakas or any of your favorite series, they all mostly started out making one shots. All right. I mean, my favorite series, One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, he started out making one shots. So learning how to make a one shot is a very essential and critical step in every aspiring mangaka's journey. And in this program, we're going to help you. We're going to walk you through how to make your own. So our goal is to empower more aspiring manga artists like you, like Yuan. And we've been working with students through our one-shot manga drawing program. And you've all gotten to know Yuan during this interview. But here's what other students in our program had to say about their experience. So we have Miriam. Now, Miriam joined us last year, about a year ago, over a year ago now at this point. And before joining us, she'd been drawing as a hobby. But since rediscovering her love for manga and joining our course, she's improved so much and she's already kickstarted her journey to finally making her first one shot. And this is what she had to say about the course. I'm incredibly happy to be part of LTDM because it's super well rounded. Teachers are amazing, the coaches are amazing, the students are amazing. And I used to go to college for 3D animation, learn how to draw, used to go to class every day and draw everything, but I've never progressed more than right now. Next, we also have our student Garrett, who joined our course back in 2023 with the goal to finally be able to tell his story through manga. So he's had this story in his mind. He's even before joining our program, he's had this awesome story for a manga brewing in his mind, but he didn't know how to put it on paper. He didn't know how to draw it and turn it into a manga. But now he's finally working towards actually being able to do that. And this is what he had to say about the course. Being in this community has helped me speedrun my progress. I'm thankful for the support and encouragement of my coaches and peers, and I wouldn't have made it this far without them. And lastly, we also have one of our students, Eduardo, who's actually had experience participating in manga competitions before. He's joined SMA like Yuan has, and after getting feedback from the competition, he decided to improve his skills even more and get direct guidance from Pro Mangakas, which led him to our program. So he started working on his storyboards in June of 2024, and just 5 months later, he already finished his one shot, and it's out on Manga Plus Creators, guys. If you want to check it out, if you have time. So yeah, this is what Eduardo had to say. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. And the mentors always give way better feedback to my works than I would, and they generally want us to do a good job. Now, you've seen that's just some of our students, just as three of our students. You could also check out our other student interviews on the channel. We just a few weeks ago we interviewed our student Charisse, and before Charisse we interviewed our student Joseph. So if you want to learn more about our students and their experience, you could check out all of our previous student interviews like this on the channel. It's up in the live tab. But yeah, you've seen our students' results. You read how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors. So now the question is, do you want in too? Just type I want in the chat. Let's go. If you want in, if you want to get the same experience, get the same type of mentorship, the same type of guidance on your manga journey. If you're the type of person who, at the start of this live, remember I asked you guys, are you guys struggling to make manga? Do you guys not know where to start, or maybe you guys just don't feel confident enough to start in the first place? This is the type of program for you. Okay, so let me know if you want in. Just type I want in the chat. All right, so if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our one shot manga drawing program is for you, because we're on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun learning together, and you will have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you. Now, we first up we have Iazawa Sensei. Now, Iazawa is a professional Japanese manga artist with over 30 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's the illustrator of the iconic manga turned anime known as Wedding Peach. So, yes, Iazawa Sensei has had her manga made into an anime, you guys. So, it's a fun magical girl anime from the 90s. So if you haven't heard of it, maybe you could check it out. But yeah, Yazawa Sensei has authored her own how to draw manga books, and she also teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. And we also have our lovely mentor, Renesaya. Renesaya is a Tokyo based professional Japanese mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry. And she's a manga author who's worked on 12 books with Shogakukan. Shogakukan is a Japanese publisher, one of the bigger Japanese publishers in Japan. And she's currently a freelance manga artist and also teaches at a manga school in Tokyo, Japan. And we also have webtoon artist Steph Pastrano. He's an illustrator known for his amazing anime and manga fan art, and is currently a freelance artist. And he's also working on his ongoing line webtoon. And finally, we also have Art Crumbs. Now, Art Crumbs is an American manga artist and Viz Originals creator. They've worked with Viz Media and the former editor in chief of Shonen Jump, Hisashi Sasaki, to publish their own one shot Onami on Viz Media. All right. So, Art Crumbs also has an ongoing series, God's Bane, being released on Global Comics. So, you can also check that out after the live. So, you guys, we're not just taking in anyone. Okay, we want to work with aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking English. You're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork and manga, and you're seeking confidence in a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. So if this sounds like you, then you're invited to apply and join our one shot manga drawing program. And again, you guys, we're only accepting applicants who are 18 years old and above. So if you want to learn more about the program itself, you can check out our website, learntodrawmanga.com, learn more about the curriculum, learn more about the program itself, and you can book a free consultation call with us to learn more about the specifics, the finances of things, all right? So, yeah, if all of that if all of what I've been talking about sounds like you, then I definitely encourage you to apply to the program and kickstart your manga journey today. So, right. Take this chance right now, you guys. I've just sent the link in the chat. If you want to apply to the program, feel free to click the link in the description, but also you could also check out the link that I just sent in chat. You could book a free manga consultation call with us again to figure out, okay, how you can work with our mentors, and also how you can apply, what are the logistics, what are the finances of things, and really just discuss in detail, okay, what does it mean being in the program. Okay, so book a call with us through the link in the description. And for anyone who wants to join our students like Yuan in their manga journey, achieving milestones you've never or haven't achieved yet, and finally start making your own manga, then apply now. Okay, but in the meantime, we'll be opening the floor to questions from our audience. If you have a question for our student, feel free to send them in the chat. The floor is now yours, you guys. So, a couple of questions. Sorry, a really loud motorcycle just passed by. But yeah, you guys, we have a question from Kyle. Can you make a video for printing manga at home? Okay, that's a very niche topic, Kyle. I think it's pretty hard to figure that out, but we'll definitely look into it, that's for sure. What do you mean, like printing manga at home, like manuscripts, or like a book, like your first book of a series, I guess? So let us know. Usually we leave the printing services to the professionals. So if you have a local printing service in your hometown, I would definitely consider consulting them when it comes to like printing your manga. All right. You guys, we do not discuss the program fee on live because it's a sensitive topic. So we leave that for one on one discussions. Okay. So it's best to discuss finances in private, one on one, with people, with not like hundreds of strangers watching live and looking in and discussing, okay, what are your finances? So that's a discussion for private. That's why we encourage you to book a free call so that you can discuss the fees and the finances in private with our team. Okay, because that's a conversation that's not appropriate conversation to have in public with tons of people like watching in. All right. um
I
yes.
see. Good question. So the question from Sega Master: do
Yeah.
you have recommendation for making manga schedule, specifically making chapters? So usually, manga can be published on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. So it's good to consider that when you're creating your schedule. And the second thing, I believe it would be a good idea to create like 3 to 5 chapters in advance. So, in case you will have some hiccups in your production, you will be able to publish them one by one, because it's really important for your audience. Like, your audience is waiting for a new chapter on a specific basis. So, like, you should stick to it to meet your readers' expectations. So I think you should consider these 2 things.
Yeah.
Do
And
Japanese editors accept foreign manga artists? A question from King
King
Destiny.
Destiny, yeah.
I discussed this topic with our sensei. She mentions that a lot of Japanese people, editors, they don't speak Japanese. So, like, if you know Japanese, like, it's completely fine. Otherwise, like, it can be some like issues, and you would need a translator to keep those communication. On the other side, I also heard that there are several manga publishers who are looking for mangakas outside of Japan, because at the moment, Japanese industry, uh, its genres became look similar. Like when you isekai manga goes out, it's pretty look like other isekai manga that is already there, and there is a lack of ideas in some genres in Japan. So in order to publish some new stuff, some Japanese publishers are looking for mangakas outside of Japan just to bring some new
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, and there are plenty of opportunities. Japanese editors do accept foreign manga artists, you guys. That's why there are a ton of international manga contests out there. The Silent Manga Edition, Kadokawa's Wordless Manga Contest, to name a few. The people, the organizers behind these contests are Japanese publishers. Okay, and the panel of judges behind these contests are Japanese editors. So yes, Japanese editors are accepting working with foreign manga artists. Art Crumbs has worked with Hisashi Sasaki, the former editor in chief of Shonen Jump, and Sasaki-san is a Japanese editor. So yeah, there are plenty of opportunities. There are plenty of instances of Japanese editors working with foreign manga artists. In fact, like there has been a boom of foreign manga artists in the industry right now. And yeah, just so you guys know, we haven't announced this yet, we're actually going to be interviewing another foreign mangaka on the channel next week. They've been published in Viz. They've traveled to Japan. They've gone to work with Japanese editors in Viz as well. So yeah, we'll be interviewing them. They're a horror mangaka who's been published in Viz. So make sure to look out for the announcement for that. We'll be announcing that interview real soon. So yeah. We have another question from Popo Poppy. My dip pen spreads across the page. Is there a problem with the dip pen or with the quality of the page? What do you mean by spreads across the page? Is it the ink that spreads? Is it like bleeding or is it like blotting? Because when you're working with dip pens is pretty tricky, Popo, because like your dip depending on the dip pen quality, it'll depend on like how much pressure you need to put on the dip pen itself. I mean, if it's a flimsier dip pen, then you might need to like apply less pressure, or if it's a more like sturdy dip pen, you might need to apply like a more pressure. I don't know, it really depends on the dip pen and on the page, but I would love to know, like, what do you mean by like it spreads across the page? Just let us know. um
There is a additional question from Kyle. Uh, And the message is because I've been creating manga online and I want to print it or transfer it to actual physical book, but I do not know how to start. You can check requirements for SMA submission. There is a separate video how can you configure your pages, because those requirements are really good for physical printing of your manga. So I recommend you to check that video, and that's how I usually set up my pages. Because when you have your settings dedicated to physical manga, it will be much easier to publish that manga online. Because otherwise, if you prepare your project just as a web project, like it will be a lot of work to transform everything to printable version. So I suggest to check out SMA printing settings video. It should
Yeah.
help you there.
We have another question from Artistic Ears. So, do you write the script and title in Japanese when you hand it in, or do you hand it in your own language to a translator to hand it to the editor? I mean, I think Yuan can speak about his experience like submitting to a manga contest. Like, did you have to submit it in Japanese?
No, because all contests I participated were international,
Yeah.
and international contests allowed you to send
Yeah.
like title and all the pages in English. It's completely fine. Only if you find some niche contests only for Japan, then yeah, you should probably translate it to
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah.
And from this point, like it's cool to participate in silence manga because in this case you won't need to translate anything to Japanese. You just don't have text on your manga.
All right. By the way, Yuan, do you use CSP, Clip Studio Paint?
Yes,
All
I
right.
yeah I do digital manga
Yeah,
mostly.
so King Destiny asked, I just wanted to make sure because it's a question about Clip Studio Paint. So, what's the ideal page size to draw manga on CSP?
If you go to project settings, there is a B4 format. That's a standard format for creating manga. Uh, Also, I think there is like if you open Clip Studio new project manga, there will be option to choose Shonen Jump, I believe. I
Yeah,
can double check it quickly. So in
yeah,
project manga, there is presets B5, B4. Both of them are fine, and in presets there is yeah, you just can choose B4 or B5, and you can use them. Those are fine. Otherwise, you need to check requirements for the contest if you prepare it for the contest. There is interesting question: can we make a shonen manga without the screen tones? Because I want be to be the one. So there was a discussion about that with our senseis, and technically, if you plan to publish your manga, you should use screen tones because screen tones were made to make those pages printable. Otherwise, if you want to publish only web versions of your manga, you can just go without screen tones. It's completely fine, and there are a lot of mangakas who draw digital manga only and they don't use screen tones. Otherwise, there are some mangakas who use screen tones for web manga only just because they like this like mood, like some like retro style for them. So it depends completely on you if you want to go with that or not. But also the thing to consider, I think that happened to Mentor Jackson. That
yeah,
Mentor Jackson prepared manga with without screen tones, with gradients only, and I believe she wanted to publish her manga, and there was an issue there because like in this case all the gradients needs to be replaced with
screen
screen tones.
tones. Yeah,
And yeah, and you might have like hundreds of layers where you need to choose them, you need to go through them one by one. So
yeah,
just to avoid those painful process, like if you certainly know that the manga will be web only, it's fine. If you have some suspicions that you might want to print it, it's safer to go with screen tones.
yeah. And that's really screen tones is the traditional way to go because like when you're printing manga is in black and white. The reason why the editors asked Jackson to replace the gradients with the screen tones is because gradients have gray tones in them, right? And Manga is purely just black and white, so they can't really print like gray tones. So that's why with screen tones, it may look like it's a gradient, but if you zoom in really closely, it's like tons of dots, like really patterned against tightly against each other or closer to each other. So as you zoom out, it creates this like gradient effect. So that's the point of using screen tones. And when that prints, it's like it's purely just black and white, right? I'm not sure if I'm explaining this correctly, but you could definitely watch one of our videos on the channel about like manga effects. I They explain it much better than I am right now on what screen tones are and how they like have that gradient effect and why it's essential for when you're printing like traditional manga. All right, so I think we can have one last question from Ludwig. I would like to publish my work online. Where is the best place to do this? For
Yeah, I
you,
think
Yuan.
there are
Yeah.
several platforms you can publish. I don't know where I plan to publish it myself. Uh, do you remember where Mentor Jackson published her God's Bane?
Yeah.
What's the name?
So there are tons of like comic platforms. Jackson publishes God's Bane on Global Comics. So there's Global Comics. There's also Manga Plus Creators. There's Global Comics, Manga Plus Creators. These are free platforms as far as I know. But I think Global Comics has like a subscription that asks you to pay if you want to like publish more. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure of like the the setup there, but it is free. Global Comics, Manga Plus Creators, or just on social media. You can also post your work on social media, your chapters on social media. That's also another way to go. But yeah, any other questions? One last question. Okay, I think we have time for one last question for you one, you guys. If you have any other questions, now would be the time before we end today's live. All right. Um, yes, ever.
Yes.
It is the one from Shonen Jump. But that's not the last question we were looking for. All right. Is there a tutorial for drawing anime eyes, Kevin? As of now, I don't think we do, but that's noted for a future video for sure.
Kevin, I think you can check internet. There are thousand styles, thousand ways to draw anime styles. So, what I suggest to do when you like go with the stylish elements, just check out how your favorite mangakas or anime draws it, and just try to copy it, and you'll figure out yourself much faster.
Okay, one last question. All right, this is the final question. Art from Art of Cosmological God. Can we use cross hatching instead of screen tones? You won.
Yes, you can use crosshatch, you can use screen tones, you can use gradients, like whatever works for you, you can mix them. The thing to be careful about is consistency. If you are using, like, for example, screen tones and hatching, just go with those both. Don't try to change everything like every second panel. Consistency
Oh,
is the key.
all right. So that I think that's all the time we have for questions today, you guys. In the meantime, please go and check out Yuan. These are his handles up on screen. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Twitter and on Facebook. If you want to follow his journey and see more of his work, definitely go and give him a follow. All right. Thank you so much, Yuan, for joining us today. Do you have any last parting words for our lovely audience for today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, for those who plan to start manga, like just start it, don't think about it too much, just start and figure it out later. And those for who are working on their manga, I just want to wish you good luck.
All right. Thank you so much, Yuan. Everybody, please give Yuan a round of applause in the chat. Drop some clapping emojis in the chat for Yuan. He's been a great guest, and it's always lovely having our students on the channel to learn more about their journey, about like their progress so far. So please give Yuan a round of a chat, you guys. Thank you so much, Yuan, for your time today and for sharing with all of us today. I hope everyone took something important important, some good advice from Yuan from today's live. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thank you, everybody say thank you, Yuan. Drop applaud him in the chat for taking his time to join us today. All right. Now, before we end, you guys, I just want to leave you guys with this question. Okay, will you be tomorrow if you start today? So, our students like Yuan joined our program months ago, and now they've already made significant improvements in their art. I mean, from starting from zero to now, like making their own mangas and like joining contests. That's a huge leap in just a matter of months. And that could be you. Okay, you can do it too if you just take the leap, and you could sign up to our one shot manga drawing program today if you want to take that leap and take it a step further. Or you can like and subscribe to our channel to catch up with our upcoming uploads and other tutorials on the channel. You could always watch our videos as well if you want to learn more about the manga making process and how to make manga in general, because the channel is literally called Learn to Draw Manga. So you can like and subscribe and also turn on notifications if you want to stay updated about our upcoming events, right? I told you guys that we have an upcoming interview with a published pro mangaka next weekend who is from New York, actually, a New York based mangaka, and we'll be interviewing them next week. So definitely watch out for that if you want to learn more about okay, what it's like to actually work with publishers and editors and get published. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys at our next live. All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.